Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at an article from the Mirror out of the UK. It's written by Ben Glaze and was published on September 28th. Now, one reason why I wanted to cover this article is you got the soy father, okay, trying to portray it like Americans are completely clueless about British politics and should just shut the fuck up. But yet, he can open and run his mouth about American politics, call Trump a moron, all these other things, and then go on a fart-sniffing fest and say, well, I know Nigel Farage. I'm one step away from interviewing Trump. And it's like, you fucking moron. You call him a moron and think you're going to interview him. You're such a fucking moron that you don't think that an American can actually have a clue about British politics. Yet you think you know everything and can talk about American politics, British politics, European politics, Pan-Asian if you friggin' feel like it. I mean, you're ridiculous, dude. So here's an American with a clue chiming in. Because when I saw this article, I was like, about freaking time. Because I had a feeling. In my gut, I knew that Boris Johnson wasn't just going to sit there and let May pull the shit that she's been pulling with Brexit and everything else. And you're going, oh, well, the Tories, they're in shambles. They're going to end up screwing up Brexit and we're going to get it any which way because of them screwing it up. No, you're going to get the Brexit you want. And it's probably going to be because of this man, Sargon of fuckwit. Soy boy of trap porn. And I'm sorry for going off in the beginning of the video like this. But when I saw this, and the other day, Sargon, in his spurg out video to James Alsop, basically said those types of things. And I'm like, Jesus H. Christ, what an ignorant asshole. And then I see this and I'm like, huh. Oh, so the Tories are in shambles. They're falling apart. May's going to be there still. And she's going to screw things. And we're still going to get Brexit. Which goes to show how clueless you are. Because you got Boris Johnson here talking about challenging May for the head of the party, you dumb shit. Holy crap. I mean, when he's doing that, that kind of contradicts what you're saying. Anyway, Boris Johnson refuses 4 times to rule out challenging Theresa May for the Tory leadership. Warring Conservatives are gearing up for the make-or-break party conference. See, here's the thing. Boris Johnson, he's someone that can rally people. He's someone that is more likely to get people to back him than you are, soy boy. Sorry to break it to you, but that's the truth of the matter. And he can get a lot of people behind him with the Tory party. And he's kind of, to me, he's kind of the idea of a British Donald Trump. And the reason why I say that is because people like him across party lines. And that's kind of how Trump is, with the fact of where he brought in independence and everything else. See, Boris is on a level kind of like that. And it goes back to his days of before being the mayor of London. It goes back to his days when he was a media personality. He won people over. He has a personality. I mean, you want to see the type of personality like he can win people over with. Look at his interview with Jeremy Clarkson on Top Gear, where Jeremy's throwing him for loops, like, you know, screwing around, of course, and because you've got Boris Johnson talking about green things and then driving slower and such, and he's pulling things out of interviews, and you look at him, he's got good banter. He's able to joke around and you know, put on a smile. And that wins people over. And that could actually be the thing that gets the Tories back on track. is his personality and who he is as a person. Boris Johnson refused 4 times to rule out challenging Theresa May for the Tory leadership. The former Foreign Secretary fueled claims he is ready to try and oust the Prime Minister over her Brexit plan as Warren Conservatives geared up for a make-or-break party conference. And I'm surprised they haven't ousted her at this point. She's incompetent. I mean, this is like probably one of the only things I will agree with Soy Boy on. She is incompetent. But when it comes to him being able to see an incompetent, takes one to know one in that case. I mean, and what gets me is they're really trying to spice this up here with this next sentence. Bitter infighting is set to dominate the annual get-together in Birmingham, which kicks off tomorrow, or Sunday. And the thing is, they're trying to make it sound like it's Jerry Springer with the bitter infighting. We're talking about Brits. There isn't going to be chairs thrown. You're not going to see, slap fights and shit like that, but it's bitter infighting. I mean, bitter infighting for British is still kind of calm and reserved. I mean, bitter infighting for an American is Springer. I guess it's a matter of perspective. The Conservatives are mired in open revolt, and many activists want Mr. Johnson to topple the PM. It's not... Wow. So, not sucking up and backing May is an open revolt. Okay? I hate to break it to you, but you're a little sensationalist in that statement. You have basically a situation where people are fed up with the leadership of the party. They have a right to be fed up with it. They have a right to do something about it. That's not an open revolt. That's just people saying it's time for a change. Dodging 4 chances to deny he wanted to steal the Tory crown, he told the BBC, "She's a remarkable person. She will go on for as long as she feels it necessary." Okay, that doesn't exactly say... The tonality of that doesn't exactly say what you're trying to imply here. Because that's politics, what he's saying. Are you going to bow out? It's one of those things of as she sees fit. Because the idea is she will be graceful when the party finally says, look, we've had enough of you, and she will walk away. But yeah, you're trying to make it sound like, he wanted to steal the crown. Okay. Not exactly how I interpret that sentence, but all right. But Brexit is set to overshadow the conference, with Mr. Johnson taking center stage at a rally on Tuesday. Yeah, and he's probably one of the best people to be looking in the interests of the British people at the head of the Tory party, seeing Brexit, overseeing Brexit happen. It's the sad truth if you don't like it. It's a good truth if you do. He quit the cabinet in July, having spent 2 years in government wrestling with, as it were, the steering wheel to try to keep us on the right track over EU withdrawal, he claimed. And he was right about that, because May, with her incompetency and her Remain mentality and her globalistic view and her British equivalent of being like, a neoconservative type, like the idea of a neocon Republican, she wants the status quo. She doesn't care about Britain, on the note of for British and what's in its best interest, because she's more concerned with the global picture. Asked if the PM should lead the Tories into the next election, he told Sky News, "It's a matter for her." Yeah. And I love how you keep taking these types of statements and trying to imply and infer that there's different meaning behind them. Because ultimately, if her party says, screw you, get bent, we're not backing you, she has 2 choices. She can try to hang on to the bitter end, or she can be graceful and leave. And one would think, one would hope, by appearance, she would probably be the graceful type. I mean, she's not a Hillary Clinton. She ain't gonna sit there and try to hang on to the bitter end while Obama's going, you drunk, crazy bitch. Shut the fuck up, you lost. Don't push it. If you do, he said he's gonna prosecute you. I mean, we don't have to worry about that when it comes to the British over there. She's not gonna act like that. Earlier, he launched his most stinging outburst yet on Mrs. May's Brexit plan. The Chequers blueprint is a moral and intellectual humiliation for this country that will cheat the electorate if implemented, Mr. Johnson wrote in a 4,600-word Telegraph column. And he is dead on balls accurate. Her plan was going to give away sovereignty on levels to the point of, to me, Brexit, you're getting the fuck out. You are your own country. All your shit is your own. But to her, that was not the case. And when you have that happening, he's accurate in saying that. So you're trying to say, well, his stinging outburst. How the hell is an article in the Telegraph an outburst? It's just him calling it as it is, you tabloid fake news fucks. Wow. But a government source dismissed just another very lengthy article which doesn't offer any answers. Rather, it regurgitates ideas which would damage our union of nations and put jobs at risk. Our union of nations. So, globalist. Yeah. Who's this government source? Are you like the New York Times and the Washington shit post with these anonymous sources that spout shit like this? Is this like, was it the Washington Post cited an intern as a government expert, an analyst, like 6 different hats, and it was one person, and they were a freaking college intern, or they were an intern. I believe they were still in college. So yeah, is this that type of situation? However, fellow Leavers rallied around Mr. Johnson. Comparing the PM's proposal to Count Dracula, MP Jacob Rees-Mogg said, Chequers may not even be a dying duck. It may be slightly more Count Dracula in that it seems to get up at night and walk abroad, but it doesn't seem to have much of a life in the sunlight. Ow. See, now that is way more scathing than what Boris said. I mean, that right there is a shot. Boris was being nice. He was being accurate. He's comparing May's plan to Count Dracula, to a life-sucking parasite. Yeah, Boris is the... Yeah, Boris is the evil one. Oh, God. That's fucking hilarious. But more than 40 Tory MPs are ready to join forces with Labour to vote down a rival bid for a Canada-style free trade deal backed by top Brexiters. That's fucked up. They literally want to try to do their own NAFTA, which, to me, you shouldn't do a deal. You should literally iron out individual deals with each country. That's how it should be done. But they want to do their own idea of NAFTA. And I'm against that, but I can't believe I'm agreeing with something on labor. Because I've seen what NAFTA did to this country. I mean, NAFTA screwed the United States. Because here we are going, oh yeah, free trade, yeah, well, no tariffs, yeah. And you got the other two sides of this, on... How do I put this? We were the meat in a get-fucked sandwich. You had Mexico with all these tariffs and Canada with all these tariffs, but it's supposed to be free trade. I mean, was it 300% or some shit like that? 200 or 300% on milk and milk products going into Canada from the United States. And we're supposed to be free trade. So I mean, that's why I'm against this idea of having a Canada, as they're calling it, Canada-style free trade deal. What they're actually mean to say NAFTA. But see, they don't want to talk about NAFTA because they don't want to bring the U.S. into this and Trump, and because Trump is basic, because they know Trump has said negotiate individual deals. And I agree with him on that. And to see Tory MPs joining up with the commie Labour, oh, that's bad. The Democratic Unionist Party have also raised doubts about the proposal. Shadow Cabinet Officer Minister John Trickett blasted the chaos, saying, as Boris Johnson says, there has been a collective failure of government. Yeah, dead on accurate. Can't argue. But not just on Brexit, on how... Oh, this is where... Yeah, we might disagree a little. But not just on Brexit, on housing, education, community safety, on our NHS, public services and utilities. Well, you want to know why you have issues with housing, you have issues with education, you have issues with community safety, problems with your NHS, public services and utilities? How do I put this as nicely as possible? You know all those people that you stupid fucks have been flooding into your country? Those people? You know, predominantly from, religious backgrounds where truck drivers of peace are revered. You know, people who drive through crowds are praised and are told they'll get 72 virgins on the other side. You know, people who strap explosives onto themselves and are made those same promises, or fly planes into buildings. You know, that predominant religious segment that you've brought into your country from parts of the world that maybe you should vet them thoroughly from, and you haven't necessarily, and then you've allowed them to go and fight with ISIS and then come back. If you didn't have them in your country, along with all these other Eastern Europeans that have flooded in, and thanks to the whole EU that are consuming on your system, they're sending money home. Those ones, at least they work, but they're sending all their money home. I mean, they're like the idea of our Mexicans here and the people from south of the U.S. border, from Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, Nicaragua, that are coming or flooding across our border. They're not contributing money back. They're sending it home, but they're illegal. At least those ones there are illegal, and you're at least collecting a little bit of tax from them. We don't even get that. So because you have them sending all their money home, they're not, with their taxes, really contributing more than what they're contributing less than what they're consuming. You have all those people that you're giving free shit to that come from that particular religious background we were just talking about. When you have all that going on and taxing your system the way it is, of course you're going to have issues with housing. Of course you are going to have issues with education because you are overtaxing both of those. Your community safety, when you are bringing in the people from regions of the world where what are things that are socially, what is socially acceptable to them and what they consider moral is different than your culture, of course, crime is going to go up. Because they don't hold the same ethical and moral standards that your culture does. So your community safety is going to suffer. Your health, you got all these people flocking there, and they're going to tax the shit. They got the sniffles. They'll go and they'll take free fucking health care. They're not going to go buy cold medicine. And your public services, again, they're being overtaxed because you get too many fucking people that shouldn't be there in the first place. It is clearer than ever that the Tories have run out of ideas. All they have left is internal warfare and continued austerity. Wow. That's not exactly what's going on here. What you have is you have the idea of the neocons versus the Trumpite type thing going on in Britain. And I'm, like I said, I'm placing Boris as kind of the Trump figure in this. So you've got the neocon equivalent and the populists going against each other right now in the Tory party. That doesn't mean they're out of ideas. That just means that there's a disagreement on the ideas. And we're going to see who ends up winning the debate, so to speak. And this idea of continued austerity. Margaret Thatcher created a middle class, and you didn't have all the free shit that you did. Huh. Go figure. People actually did better. Because maybe some of you lazy fucks that like socialism had to go out and get a job. I mean, yeah, you got stuck flipping burgers and stupid shit like that, working at a kebab place, But hey, you were supporting yourselves. Lib Dem frontbencher Layla Moore branded Mr. Johnson's comments as half-baked, sloppy rant. What? Wait a minute. Everything he said, quoted here especially, had merit, was dead on accurate, but yet Layla here, she's literally got to try to portray it as something other than what it is, as the complete opposite. Good job. You failed, though. She said, the blue-on-blue infighting has already kicked off ahead of Tory conference. I love how these other, party MPs, well, these other parties in general, they're looking at the Tories going, oh, look at them. What they don't realize is they're trying to, that either they perceive it or they're trying to make others perceive it as this inner turmoil. It's not like there's a coup d'etat going on. It's not like there's a little war being waged. Okay, what we have going on here is a shift in the will of the party. Nothing more. This isn't, some historical drama, type of idea of, the court and the king, well, the queen, and conspirators behind her back. And it's not that, but yet they're trying to portray that because they want people to believe that. And it's not going to work. This is not what they're trying to claim it is. But while Johnson is being paid hundreds of thousands to belch out the first thing that comes on to mind on page, there are businesses up and down the country wondering whether they'll still exist after Brexit. With you, people on the left, you liberal Democrats, you Labour, all you people, they're fucking lucky to exist now. They have a better chance of existing with Great Britain out of the EU. The only ones that might see a hit are the service industries, where there's, and I'm going to use this term that's really going to piss off people because you're supposed to call it staffing in UK, manpower. They are the manpower service providers of the EU. And the funny thing is they might take a little bit of a hit, but odds are they're still going to probably be the outsourced manpower freaking center for that shit. I don't see otherwise. And, you try to act like, oh, well, this is really going to screw Great Britain. Considering the EU, a lot of these EU nations, like with the British stock exchanges and currency exchanges, do so from there because, they would rather say a German, yeah, they'll use Germany, but Britain has more attention, It's like the idea of you could trade in the Canadian stock market or you could trade in the US stock market. If you're a Canadian, what looks more enticing right now? Justin Trudeau's Canada and the Canadian stock markets, or Trump's America and the US stock markets? Just look at it that way. But as you can see here, Sargon the fuckwad, soy boy of trap porn, doesn't know what he's talking about, and he thinks he's going to lead UKIP into a new era. He thinks that he's bringing in all these people into UKIP, and they're going to be a multi-platform party, and it's going to be because of him, when Paul Joseph Watson and Count Dankula are the ones who brought the overwhelming majority of the people to UKIP. I mean, most of them, this is what's funny, all right? Use the Private Parts Howard Stern analogy. But instead of hating him and wanting to, like, on the idea of being negative and wanting to see what he says next, it's more about the fact of laughing at him and making fun of him. You've got the fluffers, the dick suckers that go beyond his little inner circle of ones like V and Jeremy over at the Quartering. You've got the Sargonites. And they'll sit there and all suck his dick and think he's of high intellect and he knows what he's talking about. And they'll eat up all of his content. And then you've got the people, like myself, who tune in to see what the stupid fuck's going to say next just to laugh at him. And I looked at what he said the other day, like I said, about the Tories and, oh yeah, the party's in shambles and they fucked up Brexit so bad that, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here obviously, but they fucked up Brexit so bad, I can't do a British accent right now, that we're gonna get it anyway. Talking all smug, high off his own farts, going, oh yeah. When you hear him going, you wonder if he's doing a rail or if he's sniffing his own farts, because as we've seen from video, he's been caught doing rails before. Dumb fuck doing rails on a stream. What an idiot. But, yeah, so I'm surprised that one hasn't come out to bite him, I mean, the white N1 did, that wouldn't even rape you, all of those things that come out, but him doing, bumping rails on a live stream, that hasn't come out to tank his political career yet, but he's such a great political expert and thinks that, he has a chance in politics, but he's too fucking clueless to realize he's done so much shit to tarnish himself that he's like the joke meme David Duke equivalent in politics in the UK. I mean, minus the racism factor, KKK factor, but he is literally a joke like David fucking Duke, okay? But, and he's talking about this shit, and here I am. I knew Boris was probably going to fight for the Tories, fight for control of them. And sure enough, here he did. Yet, us Americans, we're clueless. So anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm just going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.